currency is not even money. It's Hatchimals.
Oh, okay. That's
like if she wakes up in the morning with Hatchimal on her pillow, that's like better than giving her $1,000.
Oh, bro, she don't even know, dude. Hatchimals for life, dude. We're onto the hair bows over here, bro. The little things with like the long hair, bro. We got I got different color hair all over my house right now, bro.
Dude, Hatchimals they've taken over.
Jam, bro. All of them.
I'm glad I don't know what that is yet.
Oh, no, bro. Barbies, dude.
Hey,
come on, kid.
Dude, Hatchimals, and then we downloaded her on her iPad a game where she can go through and click like the ones that she has. So it's like a collector's thing. So that's her new thing. Yeah. She just walks around. It's like, oh, I have this one. Oh, I have 2 of this one.
Yeah, and then you get the exclusives, bro. Oh, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. You're in trouble.
I go shopping at like TJ Maxx and Ross where they're like on sale.
Hey,
not paying full price.
Dude, is like my kid thinks Target is the greatest place on the planet, bro.
It's so expensive though.
I mean, considering, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, bro, I grew up on a Walmart, bro. I escalated right to Target, little Target, you know. Hey man, you got to keep moving at this angle, bro. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Not here, bro, but right here.
That's it.
Right here. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
That's it. You can only wear the fancy if you're going this way.
If you're only feeling it, bro. If you're feeling good about yourself.
Hey, you guys do realize this is episode 5, right? We've been doing this for 5 weeks now, and it just keeps getting better and better each week.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I've never been so excited for Tuesdays in my life.
I love Tuesdays.
I love a Tuesday.
Tuesdays are my jam. Tuesdays are what's up.
I love a Tuesday. Oh, and this week should be way better, guys. I actually got like a firm, like a cord going from my computer into the internet, bro. So it should be like,
oh gosh,
lightning quick, bro. Choo, choo, choo. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, because we're going this way. You know what I mean?
It's right here, bro. It should be like this. It should be like that, fancy, bro. Like that angle. You know what I mean?
That is it.
Hey, Joe, you got us a stacked lineup today too, dog.
Dude, that's it. All right, so let's just get into it. We're here Tuesday night, 6 p.m., kicking it with your boy Swish. I'm your host, Joel Hartman, joined as always by my man Craig Maddox. What is up, Craig? How you doing, buddy?
What's up?
And the face of the show, the man himself, Nick Swisher.
Let's go.
Dude, what's up, buddy?
Let's go.
What's up?
Boy, I'm telling you what, man. I'm digging your style today, Craig. Wake and rake, kid. I'm loving it, bro.
Hey, this was buddy. A Prospect Dugout exclusive. Woo! We might throw it on the store if people like it.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, buddy. So hey, if you're
back, the body's back. He's doing all his CrossFit. He's back. I
got complimented at CrossFit. Oh, damn, look at your biceps, bro.
All aesthetics, bro. All aesthetics.
It's just for show. It's just for show. Hey, so everybody that's watching live right now on Facebook, I see the numbers on Facebook are blowing up. YouTube as well. Make sure you hit the share button so that somebody on your friends list can appreciate what we're doing here. And then drop your questions in the comments because I'm looking at the comments. So if you got something you want to talk about or want us to talk about, do it. And we're looking. If you want to get on the show, head to prospectdugout.tv/kickit and then make it official. Head to your app store, type in Prospect Dugout or Clubhouse, download the Prospect Dugout app today, start interacting. Before we get into our first caller, who is Zane Brockman, I had a nice little live stream with Xavier Scruggs yesterday, and dude, it was awesome.
We
clicked. Yeah, great. Man. Yeah, we clicked and we got into one part of our conversation talking about routines and talking about short-term goals and long-term goals. And something really hit me, man. Something really hit me when he said short-term goals. And he talked about, committing to one little thing a day or 2 little things a day and doing it over a period of time. And then all of a sudden that becomes second nature. So you're able to move towards that long-term goal. But if you don't have those short-term goals, it makes it difficult to get to the long-term goals. So I think that, this time during the shutdown with COVID-19, I think kids were in a unique position. Well, not just kids, not just players, but people in general were in a unique position to, adjust what they do towards their long-term goals and set short-term goals. There's, your got laid off, or you're not playing baseball, you're not playing with your team, school's at home, like you have a lot of time on your hands. So I feel like, this is an opportunity for people to reevaluate and set some short-term goals so they can keep progressing and moving forward.
Well, also too, when you take those little goals, they turn into big goals, right? And I think that's, even from all the psychologists and shrinks and people that I've talked to over my almost 40 years of life, they always say, as long as you keep raking coals over your back, you'll never be as good as you can. And I used to work with a life coach. His name was Kenyon, and he's amazing. He actually works with a lot of famous people. And he always tried to say, enjoy the little wins, right? Enjoy wins every day. When you wake up in the morning and you feel healthy, that's a win. When you wake up in the morning and your wife's laying right next to you, she tells you she loves you, that's a win, right? I think sometimes we need to look at our wins and losses in a totally different light. So for myself, man, take all those little wins. Always be moving like this. We talk about it all the time. Always trying to get better. They always say you try and get 10% better every day. And boy, I've known X for a long time, man. Him and Jermaine Curtis, we used to hit at UCLA all the time. Yeah. But now to see him in Florida, bro, doing his thing with extraordinary athletes, could not be more proud of him, man. We need baseball men like him, and a guy like that could really, really help out the youth for sure.
Absolutely. Craig, you got anything before we jump into our first caller?
Yeah, man, goal setting's huge. I mean, we talked about it. We're talking about it this week with our players with the Giants because of during this time, it's very hard for us as hitting coaches to give certain athletes drills because you can fall into some bad habits for our guys. So what we're doing this week is we're goal setting. So this plays in exactly what we're talking about. We're goal setting. We sent them over a list of questions. So we want them to identify a what and a why. So in their goals, like, what do you want? Why do you want it? And then for us as coaches, it's our job to define the how. So that's something I think as these guys are everybody who's listening on Facebook and on YouTube, like identify those three things. And I think it can help you, like Nick said, take small things and continue to build them and make big things.
Yeah, because come on, we all have kids, right? And it's always like you always want your kids to understand that like they can continue to keep moving upwards like this. But you got to have small wins. And if we could teach them how to do this at early ages, man, it gets them in that positive mindset. And let's be honest, bro, in sports, you have to have a positive mindset because it's not always positive. Bro, come on. 3 out of 10 times you go into the hall, you go to Cooperstown? Come on, bro. Ain't a whole
especially
lot of
baseball.
You can do that for real.
That's it. Well, here we are with our first guest, Zane Brockman. What's up, buddy? Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
What's up? Thank y'all for having me. How you doing, my man? What's going on, bro? Congratulations, bro. NC State commit, dog. Doing it, baby.
Sure. Thank you so much.
What was it about NC State that drew you there, bro?
Just from the first visit that I had, it felt like home. It's just a great feeling to it. Talked to Coach Chrysler up there, and just a great feeling. It just felt like it was the place for me to go. So just talking with my family, it was something special. So we wanted to go there.
All right. Well, congratulations, man. We can't wait to follow you, bro. We can't wait to see you in those red for real. What do you got for us, bro?
Just my question for y'all is something I've just been thinking a lot of. What makes a player stand out? Not only just being, go away from everyone else and, you can be the normal and you can be average, but, being different than that. How can you say, not only at the college level, but at the pro level, what makes you separate from the other people? So.
Well, I think there's a couple different ways you can look at that, right? Standing out in a certain way or standing out in another way. I think for myself as an evaluator, one of the ways guys really stand out to me is being the hardest worker in the room, right? Being the first guy to show up to the locker room and the last guy to leave, literally being a gym rat. So I think for myself, it's like there's a lot of different things guys can do. Hey, bro, I got 2 chains, bro. They can have the chains, bro, the flair. I had that back in the day, right? You feel sexy, you play sexy. I get it. But at the end of the day, bro, that hard work and that core of who you are when you come to the ballpark is a must. It's absolutely crucial because if you don't have that drive, you don't have that passion, it's going to be hard to stand out. Your skills are alone have already stood you out from a lot of other people. Now, as the competition grows and the talent gets better, that's when we have to find other ways to make ourselves stand out. And for myself, the easiest, most efficient way to stand out, be the hardest worker. Us at the Yankees, we're so lucky that we have Aaron Judge, our best player, is the hardest worker on the team, because everyone else just falls in line with that. That can be you. That can be the guy when you show up on campus, you don't even have to say a word. You just in the gym grinding, doing your thing. And I can promise you, bro, if you're in there grinding and sweating and working harder than everybody else, those seniors and those juniors, they will put their arms around you immediately. Because I can promise you, bro, from being part of a team pretty much my whole life, those are the type of guys that I want to go to battle with for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you're even those juniors and seniors, you might even help them elevate their game. Because if you come in and you're the first dude there, you're the hardest worker in the weight room, they might say, man, I need to step my game.
Yeah, no doubt. Who's this Zane kid?
This dude's coming in and this dude's about to come and take my job. Exactly.
Yes.
So I think that, so, you know, to jump on what Nick said in talking about Aaron Judge, like leadership is contagious, you know, and even if people don't initially fall in line or follow you, like it starts to become contagious. And the more consistent that you are in what you do and what you believe in, like that's going to just trickle down to everybody else.
Right.
I love that, man. I love that, bro. I mean, anything else? What else you got?
Just, you know, just wanting the more that I've just been thinking about, you know, just, you know, as I committed, you know, I asked someone really close to me, actually my youth pastor, just, you know, what do you want, Zane, from this? And I said, you know, something of, you know, how I can glorify God, and just, you know, wanting that and saying, you know, not just being the person to go to the campus and, you know, you can be average, you know, saying as the minute, you know, my feet step on that, you know, at NC State, I can say, you know, I want to be a leader, somebody to look up to, and just that. And just, you know, another question I have is, you know, what if you're going up against people, you know, obviously being a two-way, you know, pitching's good, you know, everyone needs pitchers for sure, but,
Of course,
you know, position players, you know, there's more than one position player, just beating out those players, you know. So obviously for you played, what was your mindset going up against those players? Just, you know, was it just continue the hard work, or what was your mindset?
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to look at this, man. You guys were a lot more athletic than I was, for sure. Even our entire generation. I mean, like for you guys are actually stuck with the tough question of what position do I actually want to play moving forward, right? There have been so many two-way guys now over the last couple of years that it's almost like crazy. Now, is it something that has been able to be done at the major league level? Not yet, right? But I think Ohtani has a really good chance of coming back and feeling real good, bro. I mean, let's be honest, bro. He's got light tower power, throws 150 miles an hour. You know, I just think for those guys, for myself, is I always put myself in a competition type atmosphere, right? You've been watching The Last Dance with Michael Jordan and just all the different competitions that he made up in his head. Right? Because as you go, man, you have to find something within yourself that you have that nobody else does. Because I can promise you, as you go on to college, all of a sudden, everybody else is a little better. And then you get drafted to play professional baseball, and guess what? Everybody else is getting a little better. So I think for myself, when you go through those tough times, you got to be able to have that passion, that fight, that glory, right? That stand for something, right? Big man upstairs. Hey, because at the end of the day, bro, if you, Zane Brockman, are only known as a baseball player, that's a disappointing life. I think you want to be remembered for a lot more than that. So I think you've already got a head up on everybody else, bro. You're already thinking of that stuff. You're not just thinking about being a good baseball player. You're thinking about being a good person, glorifying the right things, and being a leader. And I can promise you right now, my man, we need leaders more than ever. And I'm telling you, Z, if you can stay on this path, bro, and you stay straight, keep working hard, baby, you're going to be one of those leaders a lot of people are going to be following.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much. That means a lot. Just thank y'all for having me. This is crazy. Hey,
Z, man, I followed you on Instagram, bro. So now I'm in your back pocket, bro. You need me, baby. Hit us up, baby. We will be there for you, my man.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all so much.
All right, baby. Awesome. Take it easy, bro.
Take it easy, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
I mean, bro, we haven't had that question yet, right? Like, how do you separate yourself from the rest? I think we've talked a lot about just as you move up the ranks from, you know, elementary school ball to maybe Legion ball to high school ball to summer ball to college ball, everybody else is starting to catch up, right, with the same amount of talent. So what can you do as an individual to stand yourself out? For myself, I thought that was an easy question, man. Just be the hardest worker, because you don't even have to say anything. Because I know in my career, bro, I got in trouble when I flapped my gums a lot, bro. When I just zipped my lips, showed up to the ballpark and grinded, that was when I got the most respect from the older players.
Yeah, for sure. And especially as a freshman walking onto NC State, you know, that's
don't be half stepping, baby.
Right. That's big time. So show up. And like you said, it's kind of one of those things, put your head down and get to work, and the respect and the leadership qualities will just be built within you, and kind of attach yourself. Another good piece of advice is find the leaders that are already there and watch what they do. And I think I'm sure you do that with the Yankees. Like, your young guys, it's like, hey, watch Aaron Judge, man. Like, do as he does, and then it's the cycle of life. Once Aaron Judge is gone, then the next wave of guys come up, and if they've paid attention and watch what Aaron Judge does, then you've set up the Yankee system for years and years of quality leadership.
Well, I mean, I think it's also the same, Craig, and you probably run into this with your guys in the minor leagues. I just think being a leader is just it's a characteristic. I think it's just a quality that some people have that some people don't. Because you can fake the funk with your parents, you can fake the funk with your girlfriend, but you can't fake the funk with your teammates. They can see right through all of that. So I think at the end of the day, man, if you have that leadership quality, that oozes out of somebody. And right now, man, come on, with COVID going on right now, a lot of uncertainties, we need leaders more than ever right now. And I'm telling you, man, Zeke can go to NC State and continue to do what he's doing, talking about living the life he wants to live. I'm telling you what, bro, he's going to be remembered for a whole lot more than just baseball.
Absolutely.
I want to jump in and come with a different perspective of how do you stand out? I agree with the hard work 100%, but what about executing? What about going up and getting the hit when you need to? What about going up and backing up third base as a pitcher and being there for the overthrow? What about, making that throw to the cutoff man instead of airmailing it home and letting the hitter get to second base? What about executing and doing the things that you need to do? If that's something that can help you stand out, then it's going to take what we talked about at the opening of the show, some short-term goals. How can I become better at executing in the game? I've got to work on situations. I've got to work on, I was listening to a podcast today, Secrets to Success podcast, and they were talking about The Last Dance, which I don't have ESPN Plus, so I still haven't seen it yet. But
bro, let's go. Come on, Jay. I'll give you my account and you can watch it.
All right, DM me, bro. DM me.
I got you, dog. But you are right, man. You are right. Like, being fundamentally sound and
well, no, but hold on, but
you're supposed to make are something
right.
that you do.
Right, but what he was saying was what Michael was saying was that he was putting his teammates through the worst of the worst. He was ridiculing them or riding them hard in practice, as a team, because he said, if I can prepare you for this now, this worst thing now, then when we go out in front of these fans, you're going to be able to handle it. Because if you can't handle me ragging you right now and you want to cop an attitude and quit, then go. I don't want you around me anyway, because you don't have what it takes. So I think that, if we do the things that we need to do and prepare ourselves to execute, that's going to help us stand out.
Yeah, well, also, too, you're talking about Michael Jordan. I mean, like the greatest basketball player ever. He could say things to teammates that most people couldn't.
Right.
So at the end of the day, I understand that you want to push your teammates and you want to do all that as well. Yeah. But at least for myself in everything that I've done, the people that I followed have just been the guys that were more pros than anything, right? Yeah. Like Mark Kotze, right? Frank Thomas was a huge leader for me. Jason Kendall, right? The guys that showed up to the ballpark was pretty much their lunch pail, just saying like, hey, I'm here every day. Because back then, man, playing 155 games was where you wanted to be. Obviously, now with analytics, we know that guys need a little more of a break than that. But I think now, obviously, being leaders, bro, we need them in the locker room because they're
for sure.
huge and crucial. You need them at home. Yeah. You need them in the locker room. You need them in the classroom. We need them over here at Prospect Dugout. Like, we need all that stuff, man.
Yeah. I think what I meant was just preparing yourself to execute was putting yourself mentally in a situation to prepare you for, being in front of 25 scouts, being in front of all these college coaches. So
look at Derek Jeter. I mean, like, maybe not the greatest, regular season numbers, but come postseason time, baby, when it mattered, come on, man, Mr. November. Like, you just remember Derek Jeter from coming through clutch after clutch after clutch times. And I'm telling you, man, it is a very scarce few that can do that. They just have the mental makeup that every night when they go to sleep, they dream about being in those situations. Come on, man. We was all kids. We wanted to be at the bottom of the ninth inning, bases loaded, 3-2 count, down by 3. And guess what? I'm going deep, bro. You know what I mean? So I think that if you could put it out in the universe, the things you want to do in this world, it manifests.
Oh, yeah.
My wife is humongous in that. As a matter of fact, the Swisher household is riding super high. Right now, my wife has the #1 rated streaming show on Netflix right now in the entire country.
Buddy.
So just like the gratitude we have for what's going on in our lives is crucial. But that didn't just happen. She manifests that stuff each and every night. And that's the thing that she kind of taught me, to manifest the things you want in life and put those out in the universe, and it will all come back to you.
That's it. Well, before we get to our
big congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm riding her till the end, bro. That's my Betty White. That's my Betty White.
All right, before we get to our next caller, let's do a little intermission and do a little talk to me nice with Nick Swisher. Basically, it's just a quick reaction answer to these 3 questions. So we'll put 20 seconds on the imaginary clock. Nick, favorite adult beverage? Go.
Right now it's got to be a Bud Light, bro. It's got to be a Bud Light. Let's go.
Favorite sport other than baseball?
Football, hands down, bro. Always wanted to be a football player. Just wasn't fast enough.
It's Sunday afternoon. What are you putting on the grill?
A little chicken and a little Beyond Meat, baby.
Ooh, baby. There it is.
Chicken, a little Beyond Meat. Let's go.
A little plug right there.
Yeah, that's it. I got to keep the cholesterol down, baby. Got to keep it
down. Jumping in, we got two guys joining us today. We got Murchael Turner and we got Tre Phelps, couple buddies right here.
What's up, fellas? What's going on?
What's up,
guys?
How you guys holding up, man? You guys all right?
Yeah, we're doing good.
We're good. All right, man. All right. What you guys got for us today?
We got a lot. What you got? Say it again. What you got? Say it again.
Go ahead. What you got, guys?
What you got? What you got to say, Trey? I've been working out a lot, chilling. Okay. Trying to get my gains back like I was before quarantine. Yeah. Working out like 3 times a day now.
Oh, dang.
Well, right now it's hard, right? I mean, I think at the end of the day, we don't exactly know when things are coming back. I mean, obviously things are starting to kind of get themselves moving again. There's been a lot of talk on the baseball front, exactly when they're going to start the season, if they're going to start the season, if it's going to even be because of COVID or it's going to be because of contracts.
But I need to go back. I need to see my Astros playing again.
Yeah, when those pro guys aren't playing, guess what? We can be grinding and we can be working and we can be getting ourselves ready.
That's the only choice.
That's the deal, man. It's going to come back. You guys know sports are going to be back, and we need to have them, bro. Because come on, man. I watched that Tiger Woods thing, Phil Mickelson, bro. Come on, tell me y'all didn't watch that golf thing, right? For real. Shut your mouth, Chuck. Shut your mouth, Chuck. My favorite part, bro. My favorite part.
So you guys got a question for Nick?
Any question for Nick? Oh, for Nick.
How was it like playing in the league? Like, how's your everyday, day-to-day life?
It's amazing, right? Because it's like it's a lifelong dream, right? It's like the things that like you guys are dreaming about right now. I got to experience that. So I feel like I'm one of those lucky guys that got to live a dream that most people wish they could. I'm sure people could give their left arm to trade spots with me in a heartbeat. So I think for myself, I just have a lot of gratitude towards that. I have a lot of love for the game. And I think that's why I'm doing stuff like this. I mean, obviously I followed you guys on Instagram. I know you're a wrestler over there, bro. I seen you, dude. You holding up your trophies and stuff. I see you. And so I think the thing about it is, man, it's just like the grind, right? It's like the love of something. Because there's a lot of people that want to do it. What are we going to do that separates us from everybody else? How much work are we going to put in? Are we willing to put in the extra swings that it takes to get ourselves there? Because I can promise you, if you don't have a passion for this, the time that it takes for you to get good at it, you're not going to be able to put that time in. So I think for myself, have that love, have that passion, have that fight, have that drive. Because I don't know about y'all, man. I never back down from a challenge. And I don't think y'all are either, man. So I think just to be able to have you guys here, man, and the skill set that y'all bring to the table already, you guys will already jump ahead. Continue to keep grinding and know that that love is going to take you to the next level.
Who's your favorite teammate that you ever played with?
Man, you put me on the spot here, bro. I'm going to give you one of my favorite teammates, and it's going to catch you off guard. Ichiro Suzuki, bro. One of the funniest human beings you'd ever want to meet, bro. Him, Raul Ibanez. Let me think, my buddy David Robertson, who's with the Phillies now. Russell Martin, who's with the Dodgers. I mean, bro, I can just list them off, bro. I love teammates, man. I miss it. It's like, see how y'all are like hanging out right now? That's the stuff you miss out on, man. Enjoy that time, man. Enjoy the time together. Enjoy the grind, because you never know when it's going to end. For myself, that's why I'm doing Zooms like this, bro, so I can still feel like I'm part of it. Because I'm telling you, when the game leaves, man, there's a hole that's in your heart for sure that you need to find a hole to fix it up.
When did you start playing baseball?
So I didn't start playing organized baseball until I was in like the 5th or 6th grade. You gotta remember, I kind of came up on a different path. My father was a minor league baseball coach. And so every year that my dad was coaching in the minors, I was riding the bus, right? 6 years old, Waterloo, Iowa. Just, trying to I was collecting aluminum cans so I could buy my first baseball mitt, man. I think I saved up like 50 some bucks, got myself a Buddy Bell glove. Dudes are like, who's Buddy Bell? My first glove. Like, for myself, man, I love being around the game. Even though it's funny, man, baseball wasn't even my first love. Football was. I loved it, man. I think nowadays, man, it's almost like kids nowadays, it's like they play one sport. Like, how do you know what you're going to be awesome at? Like, you could be good at baseball, but you might be excellent at hockey, or you might be amazing at swimming or something like that. I just think nowadays it's like people like they cap themselves off. They don't exactly know what type of athlete they can be. And as an evaluator now for the Yankees, that's all I look at is athletes, because that's what I want to see on the field. I don't want to see robots. I want to see athletes doing their thing, having fun, putting the wristbands on, popping the chains, like enjoying the game. Because I'm telling you, man, it's not a stress. It should be a love, and it should be a release every time you go out on that field.
What's probably like out of everything you had, like your favorite moment of baseball?
Yeah, favorite moment. Yeah.
There were two moments that really kind of stand out. Number one, obviously, bro, winning the World Series in 2009, bro, was something fierce. Like, that was just unbelievable. And the ring they gave us, bro, was like this big. It's humongous. It's got diamonds all over the place. And I also think another phone call the day that I got called up to the big leagues, because it was just one of those, just like something you worked for your whole life. And you finally got that phone call. It was the most satisfying phone call of my life. And I was able to share it with the closest people to me, because like I always talk about, man, like, it takes a village to get where you're going. You're never going to be able to do it by yourself. Lean on the people around you, lean on your family, lean on your teammates, right? Because they are going to help you get through those tough times. It's going to be hard if you try and do it by yourself. I remember my dad's always pounding on me. Nick, you need to talk about it. Nick, you need to talk about it. Dad, I don't want to talk about going 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Ain't nobody want to talk about that. So for myself, I tried to lean as much as I could on everybody else. But I would definitely say the two, you know what, bro? I'm actually going to do one more. The day that I retired. And I'll never forget it, bro. I cried like a baby. I cried for like an hour because I knew it was over. And I think it's almost like guys like you, man. You've seen guys like, in the locker room or whatever, and it's the last time they're going to put that uniform on. And for myself, it was almost like I was taking off that uniform during that phone call with Brian Cashman, being like, hey, man, I'm done. It's over. I don't have anything left. I'm staying at home with my family. And it was just like, hey, man, thank you so much for everything you've done for us. And then it was over. And then the tears just came, just sobbing down my face. Of course, then we popped some champagne, trying to make it cool, but still, it was a sad day, man. So I think those are 3 days of my life that I'll never, ever forget.
All right. So I know you told us about the call to the big leagues, but how's your everyday life in the minor leagues?
Almost the same as it is in the big leagues, right? I mean, because your schedule is so lined up. It's like you know exactly where you're going. The only thing difference from the big leagues and the minor leagues is you're on a plane instead of on a bus. At the end of the day, you need to find out your routines that work for you. And for myself, it started right when I got to the ballpark. I showed up at the ballpark at 2 o'clock or 2:30 for a 7 o'clock game every day. That was best for me. Some dudes showed up at 12:30. Some dudes show up at 3:30. Some dudes show up at 4:15 for a 4:20 stretch. I couldn't do that, bro. I needed to put in a little more work than that. I didn't have those skills, bro.
Need that prehab.
Yeah. So for myself, it was just one of those things where I always worked on the harder side of things. I wanted to make sure I was at the ballpark. Wanted to make sure I was taking care of my body, making sure I was taking care of my mind. Because I knew when I got into that routine and I was doing my work each and every day, I knew I was going to be good. because at the end of the day, I wasn't worried about the outcome of things. I was worried about the process of things. And so I think that's what I challenge you guys to do. Find your process. Find what works best for y'all. Because at the end of the day, man, you and I, we're all different. I'm different than y'all. You different than Joel, right? Craig, you guys do it your own way. That's why I always say you got to be you, man. You got to find what works for you. If you need to get there at 3 o'clock, get there at 3 o'clock. If you need to be there 1 hour before the game, be there 1 hour before the game. At the end of the day, bro, it's all about finding what's most comfortable for you, nobody else. Because at the end of the day, my man, this is your career, nobody else's. Do you. Do what's best for you moving forward, because at the end of the day, bro, you want to be able to get there.
This question is for Craig.
What's up, bro?
Which part did you like best about playing with the Giants?
Well, I'm a minor league coach with the Giants.
Oh.
So I played with the Atlanta Braves and the Detroit Tigers in the minor leagues. Man, you know what? So, hey, similar to what Nick said, man, like playing minor league baseball for me was a dream come true. It's something I really started working on throughout high school and then into college. And then to be able to realize that dream, like from a kid, like I grew up on the south side of Atlanta, like, you know, just came up from nothing to be able to go to college and play professional baseball and get paid for it. Like the checks weren't big. The checks weren't big, but it didn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's hey, listen, anytime you work hard to do something and then that becomes a reality for you, like embrace it. And the longer I played, the more like I worked to embrace every single day. Because in college we had a hitting coach, an old school guy named Andy Thompson. Shout out to Andy Thompson if he's out there listening. But I remember he always said that, and he was a big time prospect with the Blue Jays. And I asked him one day in college, I said, hey man, like you got any stuff like bats or whatever? He's like, man, you know what? Like, I wish I would have kept a lot of my stuff, but like, I didn't really think that it was ever going to end. And I would just always like give it away or not take it. And that really hit me, man. Like when I was in college. So like, I always try to appreciate every single day that I got an opportunity to play the game of baseball, because just like Nick said, one day it's going to end, and it ends for everybody at different times, but you're going to miss. Yeah, you'll miss playing. The older you get, you don't miss playing. Like I don't miss not being able to get out of bed.
My body feels good right now, bro, for real.
But you're going to miss that. You're going to miss the team. You're going to miss the bus rides. You're going to miss the locker room talk. That's the stuff you're going to miss. You know, once you get older, like I don't miss putting gobs of icy hot on my back because like just to be able to play the game of baseball. But I do miss hanging out with the boys in the locker room, talking with, you know what I mean? Like the bus rides, the stories, the, you know, being in a bus stop in the middle of Fargo, North Dakota, and like seeing some random people. You don't do that
too often, bro.
So, you know, like those kind of things, man, like those are my favorite things. And those are the memories. I think if you ask Nick or you ask Joel or myself, like we're going to talk about those memories more than, you know, me hitting a home run in the ninth inning off this dude. Like, that's just what you're kind of expected to do. And we expect that of ourselves, but the relationships, that's it, man. That's the game.
Yeah, I think that's what I miss. I think that's what I miss the most is I don't really remember too much in-game activity, but I remember, you know, the clubhouse banter, the dugout chatter, and all that stuff, man.
All right, Craig, you said you grew up South Atlanta. What high school did you go to?
I went to a small Christian high school in Hampton, Georgia. Called Bible Baptist. Nobody's ever heard of it.
Shout out to Bible Baptist. Let's get it.
That's right.
That's right.
Is Bible Baptist still there?
Yeah, I think so. So. It's in
they named the school after Craig, bro. Baseball field.
Man, listen, I was in high school, and this might date me, but like I graduated high school in 2003, and we didn't even have a fence. We didn't even have an outfield fence. Like we made one of those silk fence. That's how like small the school was. So where are you guys from?
Atlanta. We're both from Atlanta, actually.
What part of Atlanta?
Well, I previously moved to Gwinnett County, so now I go to Norcross High School.
Okay.
I live like Fulton County area, so I go to Woodward Academy.
Woodward Academy. All right. Delino DeShields Jr.
Yeah.
Alumni. There you go.
It's awesome, man. Thank you guys so much for calling in, man. It's awesome, man. We love talking.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having us.
Thanks, guys.
So much, guys.
Best of luck to y'all, okay?
You too.
You too.
All right, baby.
All right, boys. That was good, man.
Oh, bro, even those dudes just like sitting there together. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Like that. Those are the memories that you remember, right?
Oh, no doubt about it. Like, you remember the bus breaking down on a 10-hour trip and like you're sitting on the side of the road, or hey, listen, if you don't have a minor league bus story where the air condition breaks, you ain't living.
You ain't living life.
You don't know. You don't know.
You got that crazy teammate that takes just walking around in his underwear, walking to the back of the bus.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
that's amazing, man. Hey, by the way, man, Turner, bro, he's a stud wrestler, bro.
Oh yeah.
Seen him on Instagram, bro. He's all jacked up, dude. He's holding his trophies and stuff. 2-time state champ, bro.
He's huge. Yeah. So we're gonna play another game. It's called I don't know which guest is coming on the show next because their names on Zoom or they just say guest. So we're gonna play a little caller roulette.
All right, here we go.
We're hoping that this is Benny Montgomery. We'll see.
Let's get it, dog. Let's get it.
How
Where you
lucky
at?
you are right now.
Is that Benny? It is Benny.
Flip it sideways, bro.
Oh no.
He's coming back.
He is. There he is.
There we go.
Yeah. There we go. Oh, he's got his shirt on, bro. He's got his shirt on.
That's it.
Yeah.
Benny Montgomery, what's up, my dude?
Good. How are you guys doing? Good to see y'all.
Oh, we're doing amazing, my man. Congratulations, bro. UVA commit, dog.
Thank you. Very appreciated.
How was the trip? The trip was great.
It was super cool. Yeah. I was there, I think a year and a half ago for a Labor Day prospect camp. It was all at the university. It was super cool. We got kind of unfortunate. It was bad weather, so we did most of it inside, but I was lucky enough to be able to commit that time. So it was super cool.
Heck yeah.
I mean, bro,
Yeah.
they just pulling you right out of your diapers, bro. They signed you early, bro.
Yep. It was a while ago. Early sophomore year, I think.
Hey, dog. I didn't even get a letter till after my senior year, bro. Like, dudes nowadays, bro, man, it's amazing. Well, what do you got for us, Benny? What you got, baby?
Not much. Just it's been a pretty crazy last few months with Corona and everything. It's been a lot of training. I just felt like my off season got extended 3 months. It was a lot very quickly, but I'm happy to get back. We're going to be, I think the PG National event will take place in Alabama in mid-June. So that's going to be the first time we'll get back for some competitive baseball. So really looking forward to that because it's been a long time since I've played. So especially up in Pennsylvania when our season got started late and that's when everything started to go downhill. So I'm certainly looking forward to getting back out.
Oh, I'm sure, bro. I mean, I'm sure you, as much as everybody else in the country right now, bro, there's just a lot of sitting right now. And I mean, I can even take your situation you're in right now, and I can even, push that to some of my buddies in the big leagues right now. I mean, you can imagine, I mean, these dudes don't even know what's going to happen moving forward. And these guys are getting paid millions and millions and millions of dollars to do this for a living. So I think where you are right now, don't feel like you're alone because there's a lot of people that are in that spot. I think the one thing that we've always talked about, and Joel and Craig can back me up on this, is that we always talk about when sports do come back, we got to make sure we're ready, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Even as an evaluator for myself, I can promise you I'll be able to tell you who's been working and who hasn't immediately once we get back. Because I think if you're going to play in June, we don't even know how many at-bats we're going to get moving forward. That's just kind of a tentative date as of now. So, I mean, it's almost like, wow, man, we need to make sure we're doing everything right so we can get ourselves ready to be playing in games like that. Because let's be honest, bro, like people are going to be foaming at the mouth trying to get because they missed it so much.
That's how I was 2 months ago, foaming at the mouth to get back out. Like when we were coming back from a scrimmage about 2 hours from my high school, and we got to the high school where we were supposed to have our scrimmage at, and their AD came out and told us, "Hey guys, the news just came out. You can't play or scrimmage." So we drove all that way, and then they sent us right back. And then as we were driving back is when the NCAA, the College World Series, started canceling everything. Yeah. So I just remember being in the van going back to the school and just being on Instagram, and every single time I refreshed the screen, something new was canceled. Yeah. I think before that, it was a matter of if, but then it was just a matter of when are we going to get knocked off. And it didn't come much longer than that. So it was rough, but
yeah, there's no, I mean, this time is absolutely crazy time for sure. And none of us have ever done anything like this. So I think it's funny because it's almost like, give someone advice, keep working, keep getting yourself better. Well, no doubt. I mean, obviously everyone's going to continue to try and keep doing that. I think the biggest thing that I would try and get across to you is that don't let it come up here, right? Like I'm such a silver linings guy when it comes to all this stuff. And yes, I know there have been people that have been affected in the worst of ways with Corona, and many people have lost loved ones, and I understand that. But I think at the end of the day, bro, you got to find some silver linings in this stuff, right? Like your parents are probably so blessed to have you home each and every night, right? I know for myself, it's the first time in my life I've been in the same place for like 5 weeks. I haven't been on a plane in like over a month and a half. Like, this is crazy, bro. Like my legs feel different now, you know? I'm like on the ground all the time these days. So I think if I could give you a little piece of advice, Benny, is that enjoy this time as hard as it is, right? Like enjoy this time moving forward, because I don't know if this is ever going to happen again. I don't know if we're ever going to have time off like this. So enjoy this time. Find the things that you can work on, maybe mentally as well as physically, because everybody's working out. Everybody's doing long tossing. Everyone's doing their hitting, like all that stuff, right? Like, let's try and separate ourselves in a different way. Let's try and get that mental grind ready. Let's start doing that manifestations we've been talking about, Joel, to get you ready to go to UV, right? So when you step on campus, because you've already played it over 1 million times, exactly how you're going to go about doing it, right? Because I can promise you, if you've already done it up here, it's going to be so much easier to do it in real life.
Oh, crap.
I think, as you said, with the silver lining, certainly, as much as it stinks to get your high school sports season canceled, school, everything just to go downhill and to be uncertain about what's going to happen with the summer. I mean, there are people that have it so much worse, of course. So you got to keep that in the back of your mind. Be like, hey, I'm lucky to be here where I am and be able to have that extra time to work out, have that extra time to get better, because of course that's the bottom line of that.
Well, also too, I'm even thinking, bro, like even look at your spot already. Like you're already committed. Like you're already locked and loaded, right? Like your future as for now, right, is you know exactly where you're going, right? You know exactly when you're going to go there and the whole night. The only thing that could derail that would be the best thing ever, and that's if we get drafted, right? So it's at the end of the day, like for you, you are in a money spot, right? You know where you're going. There's no hesitation in any decisions you're making because you've already made your big decisions. I think that's a huge thing. So for you, that's stress. Get that stress off.
100%. Right.
Yeah, you don't need that on there. There's think of all the seniors right now that have that have no idea if they're going to get drafted or if they're even going to go to college, right? So
and I think that was because I played in a pretty good team in Pennsylvania for high school, and we had a lot of seniors and even juniors that were uncommitted, and I think that they would have benefited from being able to play on this team because there'd be a lot of people coming to watch.
Yeah, because you would have had so many scouts coming to watch you guys play, and then the other dudes, right, would have been picked up. That happened plenty of times, especially for myself. I mean, I had a couple scouts come watch me play in high school, but a couple guys ended up getting some scholarships out of that too.
Right, and as you said with the whole UVA thing, of course, it's a weight off your chest, and I'm super happy to just get there, and hopefully it'll be back to normal by the time I'm there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, as I'm sure it will be. Man. I mean, if they
who knows at this point? But.
Yeah, if they want to keep doing these golf things, though, bro, I'm kind of that too. You know what I'm saying? I can watch.
That was cool.
Yeah, that was fun, man.
Yeah. The trash talk was definitely fun to watch.
Yeah, well, about time, bro. Like, geez, if Tom Brady was playing a little better, bro, he might have talked a little trash. bro. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, Benny, man, thank you so much for calling on, bro. We really appreciate you, my man. Best of luck to you, dog. Hey, and if you ever need us, bro, Prospect Dugout, dog, we here, man.
All right.
For sure.
Thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. I had fun.
All right, good luck.
See you, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah, baby.
See ya. Yep.
Oh, bro, Benny, dude, he's light years ahead of where he should be, bro. Like he's like pro, the way he speaks, like he's locked and loaded. But it's true, man. I really do think there's a lot of guys that just they don't look at that silver lining of this. It's such a negative thing. And I think, yes, it is negative, but we can turn that negative into a positive. We can wake up every morning and feel happy about it, right? And just know that things are going to change and they're going to turn around. Because I wouldn't want to wake up each and every day with that, man, dude, like we're not playing baseball this year. Well, I mean, sometimes things like that happen. So I think just with where Benny is, man, like I think he's going to be just fine. There's no doubt about that. And I think if he starts looking at that positive side, instead of just being bummed out as much as he is, because everybody's bummed out. I mean, we don't even play baseball and we're bummed out because we want to watch somebody do something athletic. So I think just at the end of the day, bro, the fact that he's already locked and loaded and has his decision made on where he's going to go get his college degree from, I mean, like that has to be such a relief off of his chest because I'm sure he has plenty of homies that don't have a place to go right now. And that's sad.
For sure. That's his silver lining if he steps back and looks at it. You know, just be thankful that you have the opportunity to commit that early and you had the people around you that said, hey, this is a good idea, because there's a lot of people out there that say, well, I'm going to wait. I want this school. I want that school. I'm going to wait. And now they're getting those calls from those college coaches saying, hey, listen, we were kind of interested in you, but now we're going to have a senior that's going to come back. So we just don't have a spot for you. And that I can't imagine that feeling, and I wouldn't I wouldn't wish that on nobody.
Could you even imagine just being a parent in that position, right? Like trying to watch your son or your daughter, a softball player, baseball player, go through a tough time like that. I mean, geez, my kids are 7 and 3, bro. Like, I mean, I couldn't even imagine. I would just be devastated for them. But then again, at the end of the day, it just goes to show you, like, you can't wait, right? Like you got to be ready. You got to take some opportunities moving forward. And lucky for Benny, I'm sure he had a whole heap of people coming and knocking down his door. But Benny's in a different situation than most kids. Not everybody's going to get that many phone calls. And like you said, Craig, sometimes, man, you miss the boat. Yep. I remember Brian Cashman kind of talking about free agents as in like hot restaurants, right? You know how like when the brand new restaurant opens up and you're like, oh man, hey, can I get a table? And they're like, oh no, the wait list is like 4 hours. And everything. Oh, well, I'm not going to eat there, right? I'm going to go to the next restaurant, It's just kind of like looking at players in a sense like that. It's almost like, hey, when you get that opportunity, we might have to think a little more firmly about it and kind of think about what we're going to do to move forward.
Yeah. Right. Well, our next caller is also a young commit, a Duke commit, Cole Young.
Smart. Marcus Strongman, bro. Good, bro, coming at you.
But before we get to Cole, I think, Nick, you had something you wanted to tell to our audience.
Oh, yeah. I want to invite you guys to we're going to send comments in and stuff right now. Yeah. Hey, I want you guys to invite or send all your comments in, send your questions in. What is it? prospectdugout.com/kickit to send your questions in. I'm telling you, Joel, Craig, myself, we're going to do the best we can to try and get to as many questions as possible. We love this, man. For myself, thank you guys so much for all the support you've given us on Tuesday nights. Come on, man. There's not a whole lot of things going on Tuesday nights anyways. You might as well come here kicking with your boy Swish anyways,
That's right. We're here. So come on through.
All right. Well, I'm bringing Cole in now. We're going to get to him. What's up, buddy? There he is.
There he is.
What's up, buddy?
What's up?
How you doing, baby?
Good. What about you?
Oh, brother, come on, man. Living it right here, bro. Living in a little paradise over here. How's everything going, man? You doing good?
Yeah, everything's going pretty well. I mean,
consider it.
Yeah, it's tough with the virus. You can't really do too much. But yeah, I had a few questions for you. So, how are you able to work smarter rather than harder throughout your career?
So you don't learn how to do that until you get older, right? I think it's just kind of like as a young pup. And I'm sure Craig, he can definitely attest to this because he's over there with the minor league kids. It's like you want to work so hard because you want to show people you're working. And you just think, for myself, I always thought, if I just took 8 million swings, that would just make me feel better. But then as I got a little older, you can't take 8 million swings and answer the bell at 7:05. That just doesn't happen. So I think for myself is probably maybe like the 6th or 7th year in the big leagues, right when I got over to the New York Yankees and I was around people like Derek Jeter and Alex Rodriguez and Jorge Posada, right? And Robinson Cano. And I watched just how these guys went about their business. And they were so professional. Each and every day, they went down to the cage at the same time. They took the same amount of swings, whether they felt good or they felt bad, because what they wanted to do was not only get themselves ready to play at 7:05, but be able to play all the way into and through September, right? Back in the day, bro, we always wanted to play 160 games. That was the deal. So we always tried to get ourselves ready and our bodies ready to be able to do that. But I don't think you learn as a young kid how to work smarter. You just work hard at that point. And as your body starts to move and as you start to grow and your body fills out and you start to learn how your body works, that's when the smartness takes over. Because as you get older, bro, your body starts to break down a little bit and you can't work that much because you're not going to be able to be 100% when 7:05 hits. And I don't care about being a great hitter at 5 o'clock. I want to be a great hitter at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, let me jump in real quick on that. I was just listening to the Joe Rogan podcast with Kevin Hart, and he mentioned something that hits right on this topic, talking about working harder, working smarter. I think something for you, I agree with what you're saying, Nick, but I think, Cole, for something for you as a young player, what you can do to work smarter is heed the advice of those around you that have been there before. So like right now, right here, you're coming in asking for advice. That's great. But college guys that are around you or high school guys that are a little bit older than you, your high school coach, when they give you some advice, I'm not saying go ahead and do it. I'm just saying, take it in. That's what Kevin Hart was saying. He said, take it in because now you have it. Now you can do something with it or you can not do something with it. But if you don't take that advice, if you don't take that information, then you'll never know. So I think that's something that you can do right now to start working smarter, to prepare you, like Nick was saying, as you get a little bit older. But just learn to, when someone is giving you feedback, whether it's negative or positive feedback, learn to take that in for a second and just kind of analyze it and then see if you can use that to help your career.
Yeah, because Craig can tell you this, bro. You're going to hear so much stuff. You are going to get so much information throughout your career. We've said this before on the show. It's your job to take this huge cloud of information that you have and pick out the things that are best for you. Because like you're saying, Joel, I mean, that's huge, right? Like take all that information in, whether you want to hear it or not. But for myself, I always tried to listen to those people, like you're saying, who have been there and done that, right? The guys that were ahead of you, the guys that were a little better than you. What were the things that they worked from? I think that's why we have all these people on here and we have all these kids on here. We want to hear different perspectives. We want to hear how different things work for different guys. Because Cole, you are a special individual, bro. And you are different than everybody else. You are Cole Young. There ain't nobody else like that. So at the end of the day, find what works out best for you. Because I can promise you, my man, when you get to college and you start getting there, right? By the way, congratulations, bro. Oh, dude, man, that's amazing.
Thank you.
I mean, that's amazing, bro. Marcus Stroman, Mike Stud, let's go, y'all. For real, bro. Tell me you're going to go some of them Duke, North Carolina games for sure, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, man. So anyways, congratulations on that. But just know, like moving forward, man, you're going to have to listen to a lot of people. And there could be one thing that somebody tells you that turns everything around. It might be the same thing you've heard your entire life, but maybe one person, the verbiage of how somebody explained it to you might be a little different. Be on the lookout for that as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would think in training too, just a piece of advice is kind of what we talked about a little bit earlier on the show about small obtainable goals. So if you're a hitter, I want to go in the cage. I want to hit 6 balls the other way. I want to hit 6 up the middle on a pull 6, and then I'm out. Like those are like, or if I'm a pitcher, like I want to throw 6 fastballs low and away. I want to throw right. Like I like small, short, obtainable goals. And the biggest thing for young guys to understand is if you don't hit those goals, you got to be able to walk away, because guys will, I'm going to take 50 quality swings and they get to 50 and they don't feel great about it. And then they end up taking 2. Exactly. Then they end up taking 200. That ain't it. Like,
yeah, but Cole can do that, bro. He's a young pup. Look at that.
Well, hey, I'm gonna tell you a story. When I learned about working smarter and not harder, it was when I was in college. So after my junior year of college, I went and played in the Coastal Plains League. And coming from a small college in Central Florida, NAIA, going to the Coastal Plains League, going and playing with guys from Georgia Tech and Duke, like that was huge for me. And playing in front of fans, and I was hyped. I mean, hyped. So first game, we have early batting practice. I'm there. I probably took 50 swings in batting practice. Then we had batting practice. I took another 30 swings. I couldn't pick up the bat in the game and struck out 4 times in front of 5,000 people and learned real quick how you got to work smarter. I was plenty ready to be a part of that game, but I overworked myself to the point of failure. So there's going to be times where you're going to have to do that. I think everybody as a player has to figure out their limitations. Like you might have to one time get to the point where you do a little bit too much and you meet that failure in the game, but it's realizing that's what it was. Like I did too much before. I need to tone it back and being okay with that.
Yeah. Well, also Craig, I mean, like what you said, I mean, like it's probably, I don't know, Cole, if you've ever hit a wall yet. I don't know if you've ran into troubles yet. Right. So it's like, you haven't quite learned all that about yourself until you hit that rock bottom, right? Until all of a sudden everybody else is as good as you are. And I think you're going to experience that at some point. But like Craig's saying, man, like as you get older, you're going to learn how to do that. And your routines are going to change. What you're doing now is going to be different than what you do in a couple years, which is going to be different than what you do in 4 years. Like your routine is always going to evolve. You're always going to keep changing because you're going to keep getting information. Like you're saying, what Joel said, listen to that information and then move forward, making the best decisions you can for you and your career.
Yeah, definitely. And then my second question was, what do you think was the number one thing that made you this successful?
My fight, bro, my passion, my love, dude, my will to never give up, right? It's not, what is it? What's the thing? It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. Hey, bro, I'm not a monster guy, bro, but I hit 250 career home runs, bro. That's not too shabby. So I think for myself, man, there was a lot of people out there that told me I wasn't going to be able to accomplish the things that I did. And I used that as fuel for my fire. I know now that I have 2 little daughters, bro, that my way is not always the best way. But for myself, I was going to physically will myself to be good enough. There was no other way for me. There was no plan B for me. I had nothing else. If baseball wouldn't have happened, bro, I probably would have worked at a gas station. But I knew deep down in my heart that I was going to be able to do everything that I wanted because I believed in myself. And I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of kids out there that don't have that confidence and don't have that belief and need to use that fire from other people to kind of push them forward. Everybody's different. For myself, my wife gets on me all the time. She says I still have that little chip on my shoulder. Well, I'm like, sweetheart, that chip on my shoulder got me 13 years in the big leagues. So at the end of the day, you need to find what's best for you. Mine was the will, the passion, the fight, the love. It could be the science of it, right? Or whatever it is. I mean, like it could be just something different. But I think at the end of the day, we talk about it a lot here at Prospect Dugout. You have to have something within you that nobody else has. Because on those 0 for 8 days, when you go to the doubleheader and you go 0 for 8 on a Saturday and you got to come back again and you got to play on Sunday, how are you going to get yourself back up and get ready to play at the collegiate level? So I think for myself, that's what worked for me. That's the one thing I would challenge you to find, Cole, is that one thing inside that drives you more than anybody. Because once you find that passion, that fire, that drive cannot be stopped. Fire cannot be put out, bro, because baseball is the greatest game on the planet, my man, and you're going to continue playing, baby. So thanks for calling in, bro. I can't wait to Doogie Blue Devil, dog, for real. Congratulations, bro. We're so proud of you, man, moving forward. I'm sure your parents are so stoked for you. And not only that, bro, he going to Duke, man. He's way smarter than we are, boys, for sure, man. No doubt.
100%.
So enjoy yourself, Cole. Hey, listen to the people that you're going to have, right? You're going to have some stud guys. They're going to teach you a lot of great things. And it's your job to figure out what works best for you.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, man, you got it. See why, bro. Congratulations, baby. Best of luck, homie.
All right, I'll see you guys.
Okay, baby. Oh, man. I like me some Cole, bro. By the way, those were like awesome questions.
Those were great questions.
How?
Great. I think, one thing to add on to,
I mean, he's going to Duke. So what did you expect?
That's true.
I love it, bro. I wish I could have gone to Duke, bro. No, they were like, no, ACT's too low, player.
I think something to add on to that, what you were saying about, I think not stopping is something that makes you successful as well, is when you hit that roadblock. Like, it's easy to quit. Like, I have written on my board up here, it says retreating is the easiest option. Like, when you're facing an obstacle, going back and stopping is the easiest thing to do. So if you can make sure that you're not going back, you're not retreating, but you're actually continuing to move forward, that's how you get to success. Because I can tell you from personal experience, and I can tell you just from listening to stories of other successful people, like ultra successful people, they didn't say that they didn't have failures. They had tons of failures, but it was those failures that they had. They didn't let those failures stop them. The failures that they had pushed them forward, kind of like what you were saying, Nick, having a chip on your shoulder. They use those failures as a chip on their shoulder to push them forward to have the opportunity to be successful. Because if you stop, if you retreat, even if you're working hard, but if you face a, an obstacle and you stop and retreat, you can't be successful.
Oh, come on, man. Let's be honest, bro. When you get knocked down, bro, like, how good does it feel just to lay on the ground? It's comfortable, right? Like, it's
easy to
lay down, right?
It's easy.
It's easy to lay down. It's hard to get back up.
Hard to get back up.
It's like that old cheesy story, man. You get knocked off the horse, you're going to get back up or not, right? And I think that it's funny, because I think when you're talking to young kids like we were, to like Young, it's like to Cole, he hasn't ran into any problems. He hasn't ran into any struggles yet. Like, a lot of these kids that we talk on here are top prospects, right? Like D1, potential big league players that haven't ran into any problems at all. I mean, I know for myself, I've been very open about when I hit my struggles in baseball. I was in AA, and I'm just like, wow, bro, like, everybody's as good as me. And I think a lot of these kids are going to run into those problems. I think that we can mold them to get them ready for that moment, because when it does happen, it doesn't have to be a scary thing. It just has to be something we can acknowledge and move on.
Right. And I think it goes even back to what you said about what you did in the big leagues was staying consistent, and consistency gets you over those hurdles, because a lot of times, because a lot of times when we hit that roadblock, we stop being consistent with what got us where we're going. And then we try to make changes. And then all of a sudden we make steps back because we're trying to change something instead of staying consistent and knowing it's hard in the moment, but knowing like this time will pass and we'll get past it.
Yeah. Also too, man, I think you learn a lot from somebody when you see their backs up against the wall, right? Either one or two things is going to happen. Either they're going to curl up or they're going to come out swinging, right? And I tell you what, man, every time my back was against the wall, bro, I was coming out on fire, because that was just the best way for me. Obviously, it's a personality thing for sure. I just willed it to happen. The manifestations in my life have been enormous, because it's the only thing that I ever wanted to do was be a professional baseball player. And maybe I'm one of the lucky ones. Maybe somebody got hurt at the right time or whatever it was. But however it happened, or whoever was looking down on me from above, I was ready for that opportunity when it came.
Dude, something just came to me right now on this subject. I was listening to that Secrets to Success podcast this morning, and this is very interesting. They were talking about how there's always a solution to a problem. There's always a solution to a problem. You just have to figure out what that solution is. So the example that they use, if you want the solution to a problem, say the example that they used was with his wife, and he was going through some stuff where he was acting out or whatever. And he said that if his wife wanted to change the situation, she would have done this. If she didn't want to change the situation, she would have done something else. What he said she wanted to do, she wanted to come up with a solution to the situation. So she reached out to her husband's close friend to talk to him about the situation. What he said that she did not do was go to her close friends and gossip about the situation and talk about, what they were going through. So what I'm trying to say is what you talked about, when you fall down, it feels good. if you're in a situation where you're going through a slump, or you just feel like, oh, I never get that shot, or I always have this coming against me, you get into a lull where, are you really looking for a solution? Like you're constantly talking about what's going wrong. You're constantly talking about, politics and this and that. Oh, this guy, he's not better than me, but somebody, he knows somebody or whatever. If you're constantly talking about that, you're not finding a solution. To find a solution.
Well, you're always playing the victim at that point.
That's it. And people get lulled into that. And I think baseball players, you mentioned that, and I never really thought of that from a baseball standpoint, but I think baseball players can get lulled into that to say, you know what, I feel like I have the skills to get there, but I always get overlooked. So instead of them putting those negative thoughts away and changing them into positive thoughts, as in going online and finding out how to be better, studying guys that are, being successful and finding out how to mimic the things that they are doing, you're just sitting there and kind of complaining about it.
Yeah, totally, man. I mean, let's be honest, bro. Like life is not easy. I mean, baseball is not easy. Sports are not easy. And that's the thing. That's why life is amazing, bro. Because you're going to get beat up. You're going to be down in the gutters. You're going to be on top of the mountain. There's so many emotional things that happen throughout your life that you have to go through this stuff. I think for myself, man, it's like, when you talk about that guy or that woman that says, maybe I get overlooked all the time. Well, at the end of the day, like you're wasting so much energy looking in the wrong direction, right? Instead of taking that and saying, all right, well, they didn't see me today. I can promise you I'll be at the ballpark early tomorrow and they're going to see me tomorrow, right? So it's almost like just trying to find a different way. Like you're saying, trying to find a solution to the problem, because like you said, there always is a solution to the problem. It's just about finding the right one, right? You can pick the wrong one big time, but it's all about finding that right one moving forward, because at the end of the day, bro, we don't want to just be considered baseball players.
Right.
We don't want to just be considered guys at Prospect Dugout. We want to be considered mentors. We want to be considered leaders, and we want to be considered awesome dudes that live life to the fullest, because you got one shot at this. And why wouldn't you want to just roll out and just be great every day and try and look at the positive side? Bro, there's so much negativity in sports right now. Come on, in life, the general, bro, there's so much hatred out there. Let's change it around, man. Let's try and look at the positive side of things. Let's look look inward instead of outward.
No doubt about it. And I think it even kind of goes back to what we were talking about the clubhouse and how we missed the clubhouse and stuff like that. Like, I think for everybody listening out there, sometimes your circumstance, you got to be careful with who you surround yourself in with in that clubhouse, because you're not getting that playing time. It's easy to go hang out with the dudes that are like, yeah, man, I don't understand why coach isn't playing you. Like, you should be in there, this, that, and the other. And they just
broke their boys right there. Salty.
Yeah. Salty. But you got to be careful who you gravitate towards, because it worsens your problem. Like, you're not playing, gravitate to somebody who can get you better, not somebody who's going to continue to hold you down.
Oh, man. I remember my high school football coach, bro, is a huge mentor in my life. His name is Murchael Turner. And I can't say it because it's a G-rated show. But he said, Nick, if you roll around in a pile of poop, guess what you smell like? Poop. Right? So at the end of the day, bro, if you're hanging out with bad people that are teaching you the wrong things, you are going to have those same thoughts as well. Have your own thoughts. Be an individual, right? Like you're saying, like, it takes a village. We say that all the time. Find yourself with positive people. Put positive people in your life. And don't be scared to ask questions. I mean, come on, bro. I'm looking at the top right there, and all I see is questions on Joel's things. That's what you need to do. Because if you don't know the answer, just like us, we don't know the answers to everything. But if we do get a question we don't know the answer to, guess what we'll do? Call somebody that does. So at the end of the day, utilize the people around you. Have positive people in your life, because I'm telling you, you get one shot at this life. And if you mess it up, it's gone.
And I think that's it's a big tell to the parents too. Be somebody who's positive in your young player's life. Don't jump on I don't understand why coach isn't playing you, or you should be the starting shortstop. I know we hear that a lot on the youth side. Like, be a positive light for your kid. And sometimes it comes down to, hey, hey, little Jimmy, like, we got to work a little bit harder. Like, you got to be a little bit better. So it's that tough love and good support. Don't be the reason why your your player is the one who's complaining about playing time.
Well, let's be honest. Joel's the only one of us that has a kid that's playing youth sports at this point.
Right.
Like when you're going through this, come on, man. It's like, how many times have you heard a parent popping off or a teammate popping off about the wrong things? It's like you're looking at it in the wrong light, you know?
I've told him from the very beginning, you're not complaining about playing time. If you want to play, be better. Like, that's it. Like, that's the only solution to that question right there. Why am I not playing? Because you're not better than the 9 guys that are out there, period. That's it. That's what I've taught him. And that's what his mindset is. Before we get into our last caller, I got some Facebook comments that we want to get to real quick. Marissa Brett said, I try and tell my son that all the time. Sometimes you need a rest or you need to back off. So thank you for that. Miguel Batista said, Nick got me so pumped here at home. His energy is so positive.
Let's go.
That's the emoji that he left too. That's the emoji. Jimmy Simpson said, great advice you're giving these guys. Thank you, Jimmy, for that. Miguel said again, commented, I learned something great today. Thank you guys so much. Marissa Bretz again, I agree with Nick. My son has had it in his head. He's playing in the big leagues ever since working with a friend, but I'm glad he also said that if the big leagues don't work, he's enlisting in the military. First for either one in our family. Thank you for the confidence, Nick. You are very welcome.
And by the way, like, that's the ultimate goal, right? Even for your child, it's not about pushing them to be a professional athlete. It's pushing them to be amazing in life and providing an unbelievable outlook in society, especially with what we got going on right now. Right now, negativity is at its highest. What are we going to do? Are we going to be that ray of sunshine every day? Daggone right we are. Yeah. Because there's not a whole lot of people like us out there. And people like us are infectious. Because I'm telling you, bro, even for myself, I'm off the walls hyper, no doubt about it. But I am attracted to positive people. Yeah. People that look at life in a positive light. Because I'm telling you, man, why would I want to wake up every morning, bro, and be miserable and blaming somebody for my failures? That ain't it, bro. I bank my life on my successes and my failures. I either get it done or I don't. And if I don't, I can promise you, bro, I'm going to take Joel's idea and I'm going to work harder to get better. Because that's working hard never can be a bad thing, ever.
Mm-hmm. All right, before we get into our last caller, I'm gonna add him in, Frankie Hernandez. But I got one question from Jimmy Simpson about his son on Facebook that we're gonna get a quick answer to. Okay, so he has a 17-year-old son, okay, that is dual enrolled in college. And he said that he's got a 4.5 GPA. He runs a 6.7 60. He's 6 foot 170. Strong hitter, outfielder. His question is, should he target more of a D2 instead of a JUCO because he'll already be a sophomore in college, or should he be looking for a 4-year school because of being a sophomore? He said he's asked other baseball guys and he's been told it makes it complicated. So he wanted to see, what your thoughts were.
I mean, what do you think off the top, Joel? I mean, you've been around, like, a lot of these, you've had the masterminds on Sunday, and listening to collegiate recruiting and just kind of how that goes. I think for myself, I would just kind of like live for the day, right? At the end of the day, like, you can't make that decision. You can't make somebody want you to come to their school.
Right.
So I think for myself, if I would have any advice, my advice would be, don't look so far down the road. Mm-hmm. Right now, we don't even know what's going to happen next week. We don't even know if things are opening up yet. So at the end of the day, if you want to look down that road and look in that negative light, you can. But I'm telling you, if it was up to me and it was my kid, I'd be like, hey, bro, here's the deal. We grinding every day. We're going to do the best we can to put ourselves in the best position to be successful. And when that phone call does come, whether it's a D1, whether it's D2, whether it's D3, whether it's a JUCO, if I get an opportunity to continue my baseball career at any level, then sometimes it's what you got to do.
Yeah.
I think regardless of who it comes from, just the opportunity of being able to play at the next level is what I would want to do.
Yeah, Jimmy, I think from my perspective, the answer to that question is you pointed out his size, 6 foot 170, and his GPA, but being 17, I think what's important for your son and for you guys is to be realistic about his skill set, be realistic about what type of player he is, and then go after the appropriate college based on his grades, his age and his size, but also based on where you think that he can play. If that's not a JUCO, then don't go to a JUCO because you're just going to waste your time. Go to a school where you think he has an opportunity because he is going to be a sophomore. has an opportunity to go in and make an impact on that.
Also be proud of that 4.5 GPA, baby.
Yeah, that's what that would be my advice.
I don't even think you could have doubled my GPA for that. For real.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my advice. It sounds like, Jimmy, that your kid's pretty smart kid. So if you're going to target a school, maybe you do target, if his skill set fits, a D2 school that he can enter into and play for 4 years and start his master's, in that final year.
Craig, you're right. 0.05% of all athletes make it to the professional level. If you can go to a college that can give you an amazing 4-year degree moving forward, and you have that little piece of paper, that diploma, right? That thing that I don't have that I wish I had. I'm telling you, man, that right there is just as awesome as doing something in professional baseball. If you're setting yourself up for career in anything you want to do, it doesn't have to be baseball. But if it is, bro, hey, like my father always told me, Nick, I don't care if you're a trash man. I don't care if you're a baseball player. But whatever you're going to do, you're going to work to be the best at it. So if you want to be a trash man, you be the best trash man on the planet. So I guess that's for me. That's what I would do. Continue to keep that schoolwork up, man. 4.5, bro. Let's go. Jeez, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, he said, thanks so much for the advice.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
Frankie Hernandez from Monmouth. Dude, what's going on, buddy?
Let me hear ya.
How are you guys?
We're doing awesome, my man. Come on, bro. We checked him out on Instagram, bro. Man, he's got the TM next to it. Let's go.
How you guys doing during this quarantine?
We're doing good, man. I tell you, we've had such an opportunity and such a blessing to be able to reach out and to talk to guys like you and to check in on y'all and to kind of get a different perspective on things. So for us, man, just to have you in the house tonight, bro, we're honored, my man. Me, Joe, and Craig, we've been having so much fun just rapping about all this stuff.
Blast. Love it.
Yeah, it's been so much fun, man. So for us, man, like, what do you got? What kind of questions you got for us today?
Well, one thing I wanted to start off with is following the conversation that you had before. The degree lasts longer than pro baseball. Mm-hmm. So I believe, like, when I got interviewed by the New England Baseball Journal, and that was one of the big things that I said. I said, my goal is to play Major League Baseball someday. But having that degree, in case I don't make it, it helps. And
yeah, well, Frank, but there's a lot of kids out there that don't look at it in that light. I'm telling you right there, you are looking at it in a professional way and giving yourselves outs, right? Giving yourselves opportunities in not only baseball, but in life in general. We talked about it earlier from a couple callers ago. It's like, I don't want to be known as just a baseball player, bro. I just want to be known as an unbelievable human being that woke up every day and tried to help people and do the best he could. Because being a professional baseball player is hard. And by the way, man, it's funny, man, my wife, she always say, like, well, you're going to go back and get your degree? And I'm like, baby, I haven't been to school for 14 years, man. You can tell me you want me to go back and study? I don't know about that, man.
Yeah.
But you're right, man. Frankie, the way you're looking at it right now, bro, is amazing. I mean, that is such an elder view from your age. I'm telling you, man, your parents have to be super proud of what you're looking at, because a lot of kids wouldn't be looking at it in a position like that.
Thank you. I had some questions for you. I mean, my ultimate goal is to play professional baseball, obviously, but there's always two sides to things. Either you make it or you don't, and then you have a backup. But what did you do different than other baseball players where you ended up playing professionally?
You know what? I think timing has a lot to do with it. It's funny, man. My buddy, he owns a company. It's called 1AB. And I was like, well, bro, why'd you name it 1AB? And he was like, Swish, man, you might only get one at bat. You might only get one at bat to show people your skills. And for myself, when I got called up in 2004, the only reason I got called up was because Jermaine Dye broke his thumb. And if I would have gotten called up and wouldn't have hit well, guess where I would have gone? Right back down to the minor leagues, and somebody else would have gotten their shot. So I think for myself, I was ready for the opportunity at hand. I've been pretty decent in the minor leagues at that time. My AAA season, I had a pretty good year that year. And I knew that I was going to get my opportunity. But if I didn't take that opportunity and run with it, bro, that was it. When I went to the New York Yankees in 2009, I started off on the bench. I only got a start because somebody got hurt. And when somebody got hurt, I got my opportunity and my time to shine. I was player of the month in April and never left the field for the rest of the 4 years I was there. I think the one thing that maybe I did different than most is when I got my opportunity, I took it. When I got my opportunity, I ran with it because I was ready for it. I've been thinking about that since I was 5 years old. being in that position, right? My first day, I played my first big league game, Toronto, playing against the Blue Jays, bro, against Ted Lilly, bro. I remember it like it was yesterday. But I had gone over that so many times in my mind that I knew when I had gotten to that position, I knew I was going to be successful. So I think for myself, maybe it was my mind, maybe it was just my positive thinking. I think there's just a lot of things, but I do know that when I got that opportunity to shine in the big leagues, I took it. Because if you don't, brother, I can promise you, baby, there are so many people that are going to be right there behind you trying to get that job, right? Because right now, everything is so competitive now moving forward that you got to take that opportunity, man, because when you get it, you never know if you're going to get another one.
That's right. Along with that, I mean, that also includes your work habits. So what were your work habits in order to get where you were?
Oh, bro, I was a baller. Hardest worker in the room at all times. No doubt about it. I may not have been the most talented athlete, but it'd be pretty hard to outwork me. And I think that was just kind of my mindset. I grew up with a father that was born and raised in a little town, Parkersburg, West Virginia. Really, really blue collar mindset. Old school is what he calls it, right? And for myself, he just instilled that in me. My grandparents instilled that hard work in me. My grandfather worked at DuPont as a security guard for 34 years, right? He just taught me, put your work gloves on and go to work. Take your lunch pail, put your gloves on and go to work. It's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be good, but I'm going to go there with the right mindset moving forward. So I think just with where you are, man, you're in such a good position. You already have such a good head on your shoulders. Continue to keep doing that, right? Continue to keep utilizing that. Whoever you've been talking to, bro, that has gotten you to this point, continue to talk to those people because those people are going to push you in the right direction. I'm telling you, man, there's a lot of people that don't think like you, and I wish they would, because at the end of the day, you don't know if it's going to happen or not. You just have to give yourself the best opportunity to be successful. And for myself, my hard work, sometimes the harder you work, the luckier you get. And for myself, that was kind of the mentality I took. We talked about working harder, working smarter, not harder earlier with Cole, as a matter of fact. And for myself, bro, no way, dude. I just worked hard, bro. That was it. I didn't know how to work until I got older. And the more you're around the game of baseball, the more you'll learn how to work. And the more you'll learn how your body works. And that's when things can really kind of escalate for you.
I could tell you that that my dad was a 7-year veteran in the Army. So I believe that that's where I get most of the discipline and, the right mindset, because obviously the Army tells you like it is.
Yes, sir. Ain't no doubt about that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, they'll get in your face and tell you like it is. So I'm from Massachusetts, but where I grew up in, there was a neighborhood where it wasn't like the best. And then I went to public school. Then once 7th grade hit, I moved out to Worcester, Massachusetts, which is the second largest city in Mass. And I went to a private Catholic school, and I believe that that's what really, opened my eyes. And, I kind of had to change in a way, because I acted good, but I know I could do better. There's always room for improvements, and
always,
not just baseball, in life too. So,
man, bro, hey, I'm telling you, man, like I said, whoever you've been talking to, bro, keep talking to him, man. I'm telling you, you've got such a positive outlook on what's to come in the future. Don't look so far down the road, because you never know what's going to happen. And right now, with where you are, bro, and just the overall mindset that your mother and your father have given you is that hard work is going to get you to that point, right? Oh. I would much rather take that guy that's in the gym early, grinding, working, doing it, rather than the skilled guy. Because at the end of the day, man, sometimes those skills might crumble when I need it most. But if you could put that work in, that blue collar mindset, that grind mindset, and for all the things you've already been through in life, you've already been through a lot of things. You've already altered who you are. You've already had to change who you were, right? And you already have that mentality of getting better every day. Joel was talking about that earlier, bro. He was going off on his rant, talking about getting better each and every day. And I think that's what you have to do. Craig can tell you, man, that's all he's trying to do is get his minor league dudes to get better every day. And that's what you already doing.
That's right. I mean, even throughout this quarantine, the gyms aren't open, but it is 85 degrees outside. So I am running. I even brought a bar and I lifted at my high school. I was in a parking lot.
Yeah, right. Spray that thing down while you're ready to go.
Yeah. My mirror, there's a window in the cafeteria, and I just look at it. Like, that's my lifting.
But those are the things, man. Those are the things that are going to separate you. And that's what we talk about. We've talked about for 5 episodes now. Like that's going to show up, like that kind of stuff, because it's easier to say, you know what? Oh, woe is me. Baseball's shut down. I'm just going to sit inside and, play video games or get on Instagram and see what's going on. It's so much easier to do that. It's not what you're doing. You're setting yourself up for success because you're creating a work ethic and a mindset that's going to take you way further. And this goes beyond baseball. This goes into life.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically my quarantine mindset because there's nothing else. I mean, my school stopped March 12th. Ever since then, it's been online, and online learning versus in-person learning is not the same at all. I mean,
I'm trying to teach my first grade kid, bro. Believe me, dog. I mean, like, hey, shout out to all the teachers out there for sure, no doubt. Yeah. Well, you know what, Frankie? I'm telling you, my man, like you've got an unbelievable mindset to you. You have a great outlook on where you are, and I think just with where you are right now in your life, I think you know what it takes to get there.
Thank you.
That is a jump on the rest, which is awesome, man. Because it's funny, man. We have all these stud guys that come on here, and they all have talent. Every one of them has talent. What are you going to do to separate yourself from everyone else? Right. And I think for you, you already have a jump on the rest of the group because you already have that mindset moving forward.
That actually leads me to my next question. Like, how did you prepare yourself the next day previously having a bad game? Like you went 0 for 4 the previous game. What did you do the next day to prepare yourself to become better?
Okay, well, the first thing I'm going to say already is that the major league schedule is way different than high school schedules, right? Play 162 games in 183 days, right? Short memory, baby. Short memory, right? Like, because if you get caught up on what happened the night before, right? Like you forget about what you have to do the next day. For myself, when I had the best years in my career, I was present. I was there. I was grounded. I was in the moment. I wasn't worried about what happened the day before. I wasn't worried about what happened the next day. I was worried about what happened right now. And I think that's what we need to do moving forward because it's tough. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know when everything's going to open back up. We don't know when the seasons are going to get moving forward. So if we don't know all this stuff, why would we think about the negative side? Why wouldn't we just take it for the day, get my work in, get my schoolwork done, be a great son, and get ready for the next day? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, bro, I can promise you this, bro. I went 0 for 28 in the big leagues, bro. 0 for 28. I can promise you, bro, that is one of the most devastating things on the planet. But if you have the right mindset and you can get over a hump like that, shoot. And the rest is cake, bro. After I got through that 0 for 28, I'm like, oh, bro, like life is easy now. It shouldn't be hard like that. But I also think, man, you're in a good spot, bro. You got a good outlook on it, man. Just continue to stay there. Know that being present is going to be the best thing for you. Because if you're going to worry about a whole bunch of things that might not even happen in the future. Why would you want to waste all your energy on something that could not happen? I'd much rather want to be present, know exactly what I'm doing that day, live my life for that day, and then I'll worry about Wednesday when I wake up tomorrow morning.
I have one last question for you.
Yeah, buddy.
How did playing college baseball prepare you for big league baseball, for Major League Baseball?
I got to grow up. I grew up. I learned a lot about myself, right? Like I physically grew into my body. I graduated high school at like 165, 168 pounds. I was a junior in college, bro, and I was like $190, bro. I felt like a stud. But I think there's very few guys that can go from high school to the professionals. It's hard. You still feel like you're a little kid because the difference in your body and your overall mental outlook from 18 years old to 21 is humongous, right? Like you learn about how your body works. You learn about things you like, things you don't like, right? You learn how to, I don't know, I guess you learn how to get yourself ready for the day rather than just guessing a lot. At that point, 21 years old, bro, I knew what I was doing. So I think for all the high school guys that go into professional baseball, that is a major jump because you are playing with grown men at that point, not little kids anymore. So I think for myself, I was way better coming in at 21 rather than when I was 18. Because I think if I would have gotten drafted and gone and played professional sports at 18 years old, bro, I'm not quite sure I would have made it. I learned a lot about myself in those 3 years of college, man, on and off the field. So I think that those 3 years, man, just the overall physical growth and the mental growth that you go through is just like astronomical, bro. It's some of the biggest gains I've had in my life have been through those 3 years.
You went to Ohio State, right?
Yeah, the Ohio State.
The Ohio State.
Dude, let's go. Let's go. I did, bro. And I didn't sign to go to Ohio State until August after my senior year of high school. So I thought I was going to get drafted, and I didn't. It was the most devastating day of my life, bro. I went into a dark, dark place for about a week. But then after that, I was lucky that I had people like your father. I had my father in my life to pick me up. I think it's nice to be able to have people like that in your life, because I always say it, man, it takes a village. You're not going to get to where you want to go by yourself. It's going to take a lot of people to help you along the way. And once you do get there, do what I'm doing. Give back. Don't forget about those people that helped you along the way. Because I'm telling you, man, it's a whole heap of people, and you'll be thanking them for the rest of your life. Because if you get to that big leagues, bro, and you're there, we're going to be seeing you, bro. We're going to see. And by the way, at the end of the day, bro, you might be playing for me. But if I'm a manager here in the next 5-10 years, right? I'll be like, hey, man, Frankie, yo, it's Swish, bro. You remember me, dog? Man, hey, I'm managing for so-and-so now, you know?
Of course, I've watched you play.
I think at the end of the day, my man, it's a mindset. It's a love for the game. It's a passion for it. And for you, man, you've already got that head on your shoulders, man. Get that body right. Continue to keep growing and enjoy each day for the day, baby, because you're not going to be able to live it again, you know?
That's right. Thank you for your time. I mean,
hey, also too, man, thank your father for his service and everything you do for our country. Yes, sir. No doubt about that. No doubt about it. You too, Frankie. I followed you on Instagram, baby. I'm gonna be watching you back. I'll be watching you, man. No doubt. Hey, if you need us over here at Prospect Dugout, you come on back, baby. We'll be here for you, okay?
Definitely. Joel, Craig, thank you for your time.
Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, buddy.
Enjoy Monmouth University, man. I love that. That's a sneaky,
sneaky,
awesome university right up in North Jersey, right on the beach.
That's right.
I told
awesome.
you,
man, get him out of Boston. Bring him back to New York, bro. Give him New York. Let's go.
Thank you for your time, guys.
Really
Take it easy, buddy.
Take care.
Oh, bro, laser focus.
Yo, what a great.
What a pro.
Yeah.
He's a pro.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm telling you,
Great mindset.
I stayed at Monmouth one year when I was in college playing summer ball. That place is sneaky fun.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I tell
right
you
on
what,
the
man.
beach, North Jersey.
Hey, if anybody on that team is watching tonight, boy, follow that kid for sure.
Oh yeah.
Man. Hey, if you want to go on the field and fight, that's a dude I want in my corner for sure.
Yeah, buddy. Man, what a great episode tonight. All kinds of crazy good questions, man.
Yeah,
deep,
right? Well, I mean, every week they just keep coming in with different questions.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah. If you're watching live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and you want to be on the show, or you're a parent and you want your child, your player to be on the show, prospectdugout.tv/kickit. You can submit your question and request to be on this show. It's live every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Thank you guys for joining us. I do want to talk about one thing from what we were just talking about with Frankie. And he asked, what'd you do differently to make it? You know, would you do differently? And you explained the story of, you know, Jermaine Dye got hurt and you got called up, and then somebody got hurt for the Yankees and you got to start that game, and then you never came out. But I think something gets overlooked in that story. You were in a position to be called up when Jermaine Dye got injured. You were in a position to be on the bench for the New York Yankees when so-and-so got injured, and you were able to step in and play. I wrote down, you set yourself up for success or you're not going to find it. You didn't step in for Jermaine Dye because you were just going through the motions. You were putting yourself in a position when that situation came up, not necessarily saying an injury, but when that situation came up where they were making a phone call down to AAA, your name was going to be called. The same situation in the Yankees dugout. You had to get to the dugout, first of all. Number one, you had to do something. So you had to have, good qualities as a clubhouse guy, intangibles. You had to have the skill set. Obviously, you're a big leaguer, but you had to put yourself, you had to bring value to the Yankees dugout and clubhouse to not go out there and start? You said you weren't really getting any playing time until someone got hurt, and then you went out there, performed, and you played. I think the moral of the story is, what did you do to put yourself in that position, to be in that position, to be successful? And I think that's something that gets overlooked. You were on the bench ready for that call, not on the bench. You were doing the things, and you were happy with that, to a sense that that's something that you were working hard to stay at. So that way, when that opportunity came, you're able to jump on it.
Well, also too, I was looking inward, not outward, right? I was looking at the things that I could get myself ready for. And like I said, man, you might only get one opportunity in this world. You might only get one job opportunity. You might only get one day in the big leagues. You only might get one opportunity to make a touchdown catch playing football. So you gotta be ready, right? We stay ready so we don't have to get ready. Yeah. That's the deal, man. I think that we've learned that more than any time ever in history. You cannot wait anymore. You have to put yourselves in the best position to be successful, because you never know what's going to happen. Think about all the kids right now that are going into the draft coming up here in a couple of weeks, trying to figure out, like, no one's even gotten an opportunity to see guys. So whoever put themselves in the best position possible last year is going to reap the benefits this year. You feel me? Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, put yourself in those best positions possible, right? Be a hard worker, be a great human being, be a great teammate, be a great student, be a great son or daughter, and put yourself in those spots, because the more times you put yourself in successful positions, the more times you'll be successful.
And don't put a time cap on it. That's the thing. Be a good teammate, be a hard worker, all those things you just listed off, but don't expect it to come tomorrow. If you're expecting it to come tomorrow and you don't get it, then you might give up. You might feel that pressure, what we talked about earlier.
Yeah, well, let's be honest, man. Scottie Pippen wasn't even on his high school team. He was like the water boy. And then all of a sudden, like, they were like, hey, man, you're 6'7", and now all of a sudden you're amazing, right? Yeah. So it's almost like we talk about it a lot, and we've said this a lot on the show, is we never wanted to be the best player on our team when we were 12. We wanted to be the best player on our team when we were like 18, right? Like when it really started to matter, when you had that opportunity to continue your career. So yeah. It's been awesome, bro. Like, I love this show so much. Like, I've had,
I love it.
Like, the gratitude and the honor that I have to talk to these kids each and every week, bro, has been like life-changing for me. Bro, hey, us at Prospect Dugout, we're doing good things, man. We are. We're giving these kids great information, man. And let's just continue to keep growing this thing, because the support that everybody at home has given us is something that we love, man, and that we can feel. Craig, Joel, myself, come on, bro. I mean, it's amazing, bro. We might be like kicking it with your boy Swish on Thursdays too, bro.
And the demand is there, baby. The demand is there. Well, this was episode 5, Kicking It with Your Boy Swish. Before we go, I'm your host, Joel Hartman, joined as always by Craig Maddox and the face of the show, Nick Swisher. But before we go, Nick, can you leave us with about 30 to 45 seconds of just something that we can look forward to over the next week until next show?
I tell you what, man, it's funny. It's like you kind of, certain things kind of weigh on your heart. And for myself, man, like, things that have been happening in my house is the word of the week in my mind is gratitude, right? We talked about everything that's happening in COVID right now. There's a lot of negativity going on right now, but be grateful with the position that we have, right? Be grateful for the positions that we are, to be able to be at home and have dinner with our family each and every night. Be grateful for the opportunity to play at the next level. Be grateful to have the opportunity to wake up each and every day and be healthy. I think for myself, man, sometimes we overlook the little things in life. And I think that if there was one thing that I would say, man, enjoy these moments. Find the silver linings in things. Be a ray of sunshine. Do the right things. Stand for the right things. Because I can promise you, from an ex-baseball player, baseball isn't who I am, didn't define who I was. It was just something that I did. So I think if there was anything that I could say, find the silver linings in the times we have right now. Be grateful and gracious for all the opportunities you have, because there's a lot of people that don't have those same opportunities.
That's it, dude. We hit a world record tonight. We're at an hour and 40 minutes. I just thought of something too. I just wanted to rattle off our lineup for next week, though. We got Dylan Cupp, Drew Jones, son of former MLB star
Drew
Andrew
Jones. I know
Jones.
Drew. I know me some Drew.
Yeah, buddy. And then we got Termar Johnson. Oh my gosh, power potential there. Rhett Lauder and Dylan Lesko. We got a packed lineup for next week. So, and Mac Gaschetti from University of Florida, a stud catcher. So you're definitely going to want to tune in next week, 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Prospect Dugout Network. For Craig Maddox and Nick Swisher, I'm Joel Hartman. Thanks for joining us.
Peace.
See you guys.